You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 14.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
So, hey everybody, welcome to the podcast today. I am super excited. I promised you a really special podcast episode last week, and I am fulfilling on that promise. I have with me today two of our students from Journey Beyond Weight Loss. I have Shelly, say hi.
Hi, everybody.
And Lisa.
Hi there.
And we actually had somebody ask us in the comments for if some of our students would sort of talk about what their experience was like in Journey Beyond Weight Loss. So that's why we're here today. I kind of wanted to let them speak in their own words, sort of about like what made them decide to join Journey Beyond Weight Loss and what their experience has been. So Shelly, I'm going to start with you, and I'm going to have you sort of just tell us, first of all, like, where were you before when did you join Journey Beyond Weight Loss, by the way?
I actually joined in I believe it was the fall session.
The fall session. Okay. So of 2020.
Yes.
Okay. So we were in the middle of the pandemic when you joined. Okay.
It's the perfect time to join something like that.
Yeah.
And I had actually been seeing Dr. Angela a few months before that, and she had talked about the program.
So as a patient.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had been one of your patients and still am. Mm-hmm. But I was getting the food portion, the leaving the flour and the sugar behind. That part was kind of coming under control, but I still recognized that that's only really a small piece of the puzzle in getting healthy. And I really needed some help with the emotional side of becoming healthy and forming new habits, and just the information you had available about Journey Beyond Weight Loss just kind of made me think this could be something that could address maybe what's even the bigger issue in becoming healthy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what drew me to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what I always say. It's like, there's the biochemical piece of this, which is the nutrition piece. And then there's all the deeper stuff too that
exactly
makes so much difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then Lisa, tell us what had been your experience before. When did you start Journey Beyond Weight Loss?
I started at the same time.
At the same time?
In the fall of 2020.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
And I had just found myself not feeling well and tired of not feeling well. Sick and tired of being sick and tired, I think they call it.
Yeah.
And I just decided that I needed to do something different. And in this case, I happened to see this ad on Facebook, which, there's all sorts of opinions about those things. But it said it was Dr. Angela, and it was Journey Beyond Weight Loss. And I'm like, hey, sometimes you think about those when you see them and you go, is that actually a doctor? I happen to know it was because I've seen Dr. Angela in the past. So that was exciting. Years and years ago, I saw Dr. Angela and had a little bit of success there. But of course, if you don't keep following through with the things that you need to do, things don't keep working. So, but I found myself just in this place where I went, okay, I know she has something to offer and it looks different than anything I've ever tried. And I've tried a lot of things. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just going to give this a whirl. I said something to my husband and he was totally supportive. And
that's cool.
I hopped on board and I don't regret it a bit. I'm very excited.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about, I'll have each of you sort of talk separately about what your experience was like in Journey Beyond Weight Loss and what you discovered as you went through. Because it's a 12-week course, but it's 6 modules worth of content. And we sort of just go through the 6 modules in 12 weeks. Mm-hmm. And I'll just tell everybody what your experience was.
Well, I think when you go in and you're starting out, you kind of maybe have an idea of, this is going to teach me about eating right and getting super, inspired and healthy and all this, which it absolutely does that. But what you really find out is a lot of the work in getting healthy is not about food at all. It's really not.
Right.
It's about getting these new sustainable habits and kind of replacing old habits. And that's a lot of emotional work that you have to do. And what struck me as we went through the different modules is there's about, I want to say there's 4 or 5 where you're really concentrating on your identity and setting boundaries and all these things that you kind of have to discover about yourself to really figure out how you're going to become a healthy person. And I think that part was, it's some really difficult emotional work that you go through because you're facing some things and you're learning some things about yourself that actually can affect how you eat, can affect emotional eating and that type of thing. You find these little triggers and things that are very important to find. And so I didn't really expect that it was going to be as emotional as it gets. And I think sometimes in those modules, I know it was hard to do the homework on some of those because it's a lot of introspection and, kind of self-discovery. So when you get through it, you feel like, wow, I know a different side of myself. So, and I think that helps.
Oh, no
yeah,
question.
For sure. And you had an emotional scale, and I don't want to give away everything that you tell us, but just learning to identify how you feel makes so much difference. Like where you're at and what you're really feeling. I think as women, we sometimes forget to factor in our own emotions and how we're handling things and how we're feeling. We just keep going. We just keep going. And I feel like the Journey Beyond Weight Loss really helped me get a little bit more control and kind of just that feeling of, okay, I'm in control of what's going on. I can say no to things. I don't have to be a superwoman and say yes to everything. So those were some really important takeaways for me, was setting those boundaries, learning to say no, and self-care.
Yeah.
Those were really the key takeaways. And that has helped me so much.
Yeah.
Right. And I think what I hear, everything you've just said, almost none of it was about food. Or exercise even, right? So I think that was what was most surprising to me, is in the beginning, the first 2 or 3 weeks, you talk about food, of course, like we need to start getting rid of flour and sugar, right? Belong to the Flour and Sugar Buster Society, right? And do those things. But that was not the main thrust of what you were heading us toward. And so that was refreshing to me. It was different. I don't have to get all my food perfect, and I don't have to get all my exercise right in line, and I don't have to do all of this stuff at the same time because it has exhausted me in the past.
Yeah.
And so it was refreshing to not have to do those things, but know I was on a journey. I have learned to be kind to myself through Journey Beyond Weight Loss, and I have not been kind to myself for a long time.
Yes. Yes, so many of us just are constantly beating ourselves up in our heads all day. We talked about this on one of the previous podcasts, how hard it is. And I like what you said, Shelly, about how we don't even know what we're feeling because we're trained not to pay attention.
Right.
And so we just carry on, and we don't realize how much that impacts our weight loss journey.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we have the support calls. I suggest that people buddy up with a partner.
Yep.
And you two are buddies. So
we are.
So talk about that a little bit. So, because I know a lot of people come into Journey Beyond Weight Loss and they're like, no, I don't want to participate. I just want to kind of stay in the background and watch. That's sort of what we do when we have this disease. We kind of hide a lot. And I'm pretty, I'm not adamant about it, but I'm really suggesting to people, if you want to do well, it's important.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
So how did that work for you guys?
Well, Lisa and I actually were in a breakout room, which you do during the support calls. And we were answering or discussing the topic, and you brought up, finding a buddy. And right afterwards, she actually messaged me in the chat and said, "Do you want to be my buddy?" And I was like, "Sure." And it has been so helpful having somebody out there that is doing this too. I mean, we know that everybody on the call is working on this, but when you get like a text or, an email or something from your buddy, it's just kind of this little reminder, oh, there's somebody out here who understands exactly what I'm going through. And that always makes you feel to me, that makes me feel less alone.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when I get a little text from her, we talk about things that are going on in our life, stressful things, happy things, because all of those are extreme emotions. And it's not just sad things that can make you go over the edge. Sometimes it's real happy, emotional, celebratory things that can kind of push you over too. So it's just been, to me, the support system. I have a very supportive husband and very supportive kids. And having a buddy out there too, you're just building up your support system. And you really need one when you're making these kinds of changes. They're not easy changes to make. And I know everybody thinks about, they want weight loss. And I think the biggest thing I've learned, and one of the things having a buddy has done too, is I'm not focused on the weight loss. I'm focused on health gain.
Oh, that's good.
You know?
Ooh,
yeah.
That's awesome.
So, and instead of losing something, which always feels, loss feels like, loss.
Yeah.
But when you're gaining something that feels like a positive, and Lisa being my buddy, she's always positive in her little messages to me. Even if there's something going on, she always ends it on a positive note. Like, I'm going through all these things, but I'm feeling pretty good about, this part. So I feel like she's been the perfect buddy for me. But, and I think we all need that connection. I just think you do. I think it's a really important part. And I know we tend to want to shy away and maybe keep this all to ourselves, but that's really the last thing you want to do when you're trying to make changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I think for me, it was, now that I've done some work, I figured out I didn't want to be accountable. I didn't want to have someone I was accountable to. I'll be accountable to myself and everything will be fine, but that's such a lie. And so, that's what I was pushing against. I'm like, I don't really ever need an accountability. I don't want that. But you really were adamant. You're right. You don't demand it, but you're adamant that it needed to happen. And so the first time you broke us in breakout rooms, whoever it was, I just said, I'm going to ask him if they'll be my buddy. And it worked. I'm like, just let Providence take its course, right? So same thing. Shelly's been the same way. And here's the deal. We don't spend hours on the phone. We don't we just check in with one another on a regular basis and just through text mainly and some emailing. And we just kind of check in and make sure they're doing okay. And if not, listen, and then just say, I know, but tomorrow will be better.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. I'm so happy for you guys. Yay.
Me too.
So you started in September of 2020. It's now May. So you've had this relationship almost for almost a whole school year, basically. That's great.
Yeah.
Interesting thing is today's the first time you've actually met in person.
That's right.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
We're all vaccinated, so we're able to do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's very fun. Cool. Well, so here's my last question for you. Lots of people are considering this. We've opened up the course for our May enrollment. Lots of people are considering this. They're not sure whether they should do it or not. What would your advice be to somebody who's sort of on the shelf about this, or on the fence, I guess would be the better way to put it?
What I would say is, if you're like me, you've probably tried a bunch of different diets. You've probably tried, I don't know if I can say all the ones, but you know what they are. You know all the different crash diets and fad diets. And I probably had tried all of those at some point over the last 25 years of being obese.
Of having obesity.
Of having obesity.
Yes.
Remember, it's
having
a disease. Yes,
that's right.
And that's one of the main things right there is, you have a disease, that stuff really isn't going to work. It's just not going to work long term. And you have to kind of look beyond that part of it. And that's what I had to do, is I had to realize I needed to get rid of some old habits and some old addictions. Sugar and flour are an addiction, and they weren't helping, the condition, the disease. And so when I made my appointments with Dr. Angela and started getting education, which is another really huge part of this, is you need this education that you just don't get in those other programs. You don't get these different components that all kind of work together, which is the biological stuff that's happening in your body, the emotional stuff. You're not going to get that when you just eat something that comes to your porch in a box. That's not going to happen.
That's a good point.
Right. You know,
that's a really good point.
And you can be real good. I want to, put that in quotes. I'm finger quoting here. You can be real good and just eat stuff, and then you can get real bored with that, and you can lose a lot of weight with it. And as soon as you stop it and you go back to the way you were before, because that's what's going to happen, you just gain weight back, and you're on this continual yo-yo. And what I've noticed this last year is that roller coaster ride has really leveled out, and things feel much more obtainable, and they feel much more natural. And like I said, I'm not working to lose weight anymore. I'm much more accepting of my body just as it is, and in loving myself, and just trying to be kinder to myself and healthier and put good things in me. And that's, before I would have just said, I don't care how I do it. I don't care if it's unhealthy. I just want to lose weight.
Right.
And you get so desperate. And this has taken that desperation out, and the education and the emotional components of it have just made it more sustainable. And it just makes you feel good that you're taking care of yourself and that you're liking yourself. Yeah. I've just liked myself so much more.
Oh, that's such a huge key.
And that changes your life.
Yeah.
When you put yourself as a priority and you really practice self-care, you can do so much more for everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just amazing. And that's really, how do you say that that's a program?
Right.
This is so much more than a program. It's a lifestyle change, and it affects all components of your life in a positive way. Right. I'm just so thankful that I found it, and I found Dr. Angela. I'm not just trying to talk her
practically tearing up here, guys. It's like,
she's awesome. But you change lives. You do. That's what you want to do in your profession, and you definitely do that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I think it's a great reminder that we're more than our body. We are a mind, and we're a soul, and you address all of those things. Yeah. So if you're out there feeling sick and tired of being sick and tired, this is a great way to address all areas of your life. Because in the past, I've only addressed one or two of those things at a time. And this is the only place I have ever addressed all three. And feel like, I now have a new mantra in my life. I am a healthy person who makes healthy choices.
Yeah.
That's who I am. It doesn't matter what I weigh. It doesn't matter how big none of that matters. Yes, it does. Okay. I'll be honest and say, of course it does, but it doesn't matter as much as it used to.
Yeah.
What matters is I'm a healthy person who makes healthy choices.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I get it right every time, but it means, man, every moment is a fresh beginning, and I can start over, and I don't have to beat up on myself and all of those things. That's what you've taught us in this. So if you're on the fence, if you're like, I don't know that this is different than anything you've ever done before. And it's worth trying it. And so the cool thing is, once you've joined, you can keep with the subscription. You can just keep coming back. So both Shelly and I have gone through 2 sessions of the 12 weeks.
Yeah.
And I learned stuff in the second session I didn't hear in the first one, because it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to learn the physiology, then to learn how it affects my emotions, and then to learn how to just live in life and how to be a healthy person who makes healthy choices.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So do it. Just do it. Yeah. Be Nike.
I love it. That's great. I had one gal tell me the other day, she's in the program too, and she just went through it for the first time this last session. And she sat down to do one of the, I have you do like pretty deep meditation in module 5. And she said she just felt like a stubborn child. And she was like, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to do this. This is stupid. But she did it. She was just kept listening, and she did it. And she said the next thing she knew, the tears were flowing, and she had just discovered some really amazing things about herself. Sort of difficult, but yet released a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And the tears, I always say, the tears are always a good reminder that there's relief. Tears are a sign of relief.
Right.
And she said, oh, damn it, Dr. Angela, you're right. And I had to laugh, because I was like, I know, because I've done this work myself.
Right.
And I know how important it is to really work at getting to some of the core stuff. And that's what we do. And we do it in such a supportive environment.
Oh, yes.
We're all here working together. And we've got a Facebook group that so there's Sugar and Flour Buster Society, which is the free Facebook group. But then Journey Beyond Weight Loss has its own community of all of us who are working at all of the deeper stuff and really understand.
Which is fun because those people, you kind of know their faces and know their stories because they're on the calls with you.
Right.
And then you get it exchange and postings in that group. So it's really, that's also another big support thing that we have. And I think that's, just the quality of the information you're getting, the quality of people that you're working with, and you get to hear their stories, and it just reminds you there's so many things that you'll relate to. That's every story, almost every person, when they would say something, you'd feel that connection and just be like, I felt that. I totally get this.
Yeah.
And I think that's the amazing thing is you're bringing a group of people together. We all kind of understand each other's struggles. We don't even know necessarily why we have them, but we know that we felt that way. And it's very empathetic, very supportive.
Yeah. And a great reminder that we're not alone.
Exactly. I think the weight loss journey, when you just sign up to do a diet plan or get the box delivered to your porch, like here you are, you just feel like it's you against the world and you're all alone, and that just never works long term. It just doesn't.
It's so easy to give up when you're in that position.
Right.
And you feel like you fail. And I've never felt like I've failed since in this last year, even when my weight's been up a little bit or when it's gone down drastically, which sometimes it has, or when I've plateaued for a long time, I still feel like I'm going somewhere.
Exactly.
In a positive way. It's not all about that scale number.
That's
it's just not.
Yeah.
And when you learn that, it frees you up to just become healthier.
Yeah.
That number is a terrible anchor.
It is.
That just pulls you down and makes you think horrible things about yourself that are not true.
That is correct.
So it's nice to get that anchor lifted up, and that's really what's happened. And then you're free to,
explore and
experience the world.
Yeah. Live a new life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, great. Do you guys have any last minute thoughts at all? This has been awesome.
Well, first of all, thanks for asking us to come.
Absolutely.
And do this today. We got to meet, and we got to. And to everybody out there who is on the fence, I would just say, this time, jump off the fence and
come on over.
Come on over to this side of the world. It's good over here. The weather's great.
The grass is greener.
I think you'll be not disappointed at all. It's an investment in yourself, and you are worth this investment.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Absolutely. And for those, what's coming to mind right now is people who go, I don't want to feel all those emotions. I want to say, it's okay. We're going to hold your hand while you do it. You're not going to have to do it alone. So it's the only way over or through. Yeah. And you can't avoid them forever. And so, why not today? Why not get started today?
Right. Yeah. Don't put off improving your life one more minute.
Nope.
Because the solution is available to you. So that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out to talk about your experiences. This has been awesome.
We're grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody. So we will be back next week with another podcast episode. If you want to sign up for Journey Beyond Weight Loss, you have until midnight on Friday, May 7th to sign up. Just go to journeybeyondweightloss.com/yes, and we will put that in the show notes for you so you have easy access to it. And we would love to have you join us and work at getting healthier again and work at improving not just your body, but your entire life. So very, very exciting. So thanks, guys.
Thank you
so much.
We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.